The cry for help the forest was quiet, too quiet for comfort. The night sky glowed with two pale moons hanging low above the dark trees. A human explorer named Daniel sat near a small fire, listening to the strange sounds of this alien world. He had been sent here to map the area and study the land, but his instincts kept telling him that something dangerous was close. Suddenly, the silence broke. A sharp voice carried through the trees, high and trembling. "Human, help! My mom's foot hurts!" Daniel froze. He thought his ears were playing tricks on him. The words were not perfect, but they were clear enough. Someone out there was speaking in broken English. Someone was crying. The voice came again, even louder this time, filled with panic. "Human, please!" "My mom is hurt." Daniel jumped to his feet. His heart raced. Who could it be? He had been told there were no humans living on this part of the planet. Then the truth struck him. The voice didn't sound human. It was strange, almost musical, but also desperate. "Where are you?" Daniel shouted into the forest. There was no answer. Only the sound of small footsteps rushing away. For a moment he hesitated. It could be a trap. Many soldiers had warned him about this planet's creatures. Some were cunning enough to lure prey with voices. But the sound he had heard didn't feel like a trick. It sounded real. It sounded like a child crying. Daniel grabbed his light stick in his sidearm, then ran toward the sound. Branches slapped against his arms as he pushed through the thick forest. The ground was uneven, full of glowing plants and roots that caught at his boots. His fire faded behind him, swallowed by the shadows. Then he saw movement. A small figure darted between the trees. It was not human at all. The child had pale silver skin that glimmered in the moonlight. Its eyes were large and dark, like pools of ink, and they shone with tears. The child turned, spotted Daniel, and waved frantically. "Human! This way!" it cried. Daniel's breath caught. The alien child was real. It looked no older than 8 or 9 years in human terms. Its thin arm shook as it pointed deeper into the forest. "What's wrong? Who are you talking about?" Daniel asked, trying to keep his voice calm. The child's lip trembled. "My mom, she fell. A trap caught her foot. She cannot walk. Please come fast." Daniel felt a chill run through him. "A trap out here?" That meant someone or something had said it. Still, the child's voice carried such raw fear that he couldn't turn away. He nodded quickly. "All right, show me." The child wasted no time. It spun around and ran ahead, glancing back to make sure Daniel followed. The forest grew darker as they went deeper, the trees closing in, their roots twisting like claws out of the earth. Strange sounds echoed from the shadows. Clicks, growls, the hiss of unseen creatures. Daniel gripped his weapon tighter. Every instinct told him he was walking into danger, but every time he looked at the child's tear-streaked face, he pushed on. After several minutes of running, the trees opened into a small clearing. Daniel stopped short. There in the center of the clearing lay a tall alien woman. Her body was strong and powerful, with the same silver skin as her child, but her leg was caught in something terrible. A trap. It looked like a ring of dark metal glowing faintly with strange symbols. Sharp spikes dug deep into her flesh, and with every small movement the ring tightened. Her foot was bleeding, dark liquid dripping onto the dirt. She groaned in pain, her breath ragged. The child rushed to her side, kneeling beside her. "Mom, I brought the human." "He will help you." The alien mother lifted her head. Her eyes, though filled with pain, locked onto Daniel. For a moment he felt a chill. Her gaze was fierce, like a predator's. But then he saw the weakness in her trembling hands, the way she tried to shield her child even while trapped. Daniel stepped closer, carefully. "It's all right. I'm here to help. Don't move too much." The trap pulsed faintly, almost alive, as if it could sense him. It wasn't natural. Someone had built this thing, someone who wanted to capture, maybe even kill. The alien mother's voice was low and rough. She spoke slowly, struggling with the words. "Human, dangerous. The trap, not beast, enemy." Daniel frowned. Enemy? Did she mean another species? Another faction? Before he could ask, the child looked at him with wide, pleading eyes. "Please, help her! You can break it, yes?" Daniel knelt beside the trap, studying it. The metal was unlike anything he had ever seen. Smooth, black, and humming with strange energy. His fingers hovered over it. He could feel heat radiating from the surface. He shook his head slowly. This isn't going to be easy. The forest around them stirred. Branches cracked. Something moved in the darkness. The alien mother's eyes widened. She gripped the dirt with her hands and hissed through her teeth. They come. Daniel looked up sharply. Who comes? The child clutched his arm tightly. Hurry, human, please! Daniel's heart pounded in his chest. The night was no longer quiet. Growls echoed through the trees. The trap was not the only danger in this forest. Something else was closing in, step by step, and Daniel realized with a sinking feeling that his choice to help this alien family might be the start of something much bigger than he ever imagined. The trapped Daniel knelt in the dirt, sweat dripping down his face as he studied the strange device locked around the alien mother's leg. The glowing metal ring pulsed faintly, like it had a heartbeat of its own. Each pulse tightened the spikes deeper into her flesh, drawing out more dark blood. The air smelled of iron and smoke, sharp and bitter. The alien mother groaned, her teeth clenched as she tried not to scream. She was strong, but pain twisted her expression. The child held her hand tightly, whispering in their own language before switching to broken English again. Please, human. Help her. Please. Daniel's hand hovered near the trap. He didn't want to touch it. The heat coming from it was unnatural. It hummed like a machine, but it also looked old, like it had been waiting here for years. Symbols carved along the metal glowed red, then dimmed again, in rhythm with her heartbeat. This isn't made by beasts, Daniel muttered to himself. This is technology. Someone set this. The mother opened her eyes, weak but sharp. Not beast. Hunters. The word chilled him. Hunters. Whoever set this trap wasn't just killing for survival. They had purpose. Daniel tried to pry one of the spikes, but the metal shifted under his fingers, almost as if it was alive. It tightened instantly, making the mother cry out in pain. The child screamed, "Stop! Don't hurt her!" Daniel pulled back quickly, heart pounding. It reacts. It knows when someone tries to break it. The mother shook her head slowly, her breathing shallow. It wants to kill slowly. It waits, then. They come. Daniel looked at the tree line. The shadows between the trunks felt heavier now, like they were hiding eyes. His instincts screamed at him something was watching. He whispered, "Who comes?" The mother's gaze flicked toward the forest. The ones who said it. They smell blood. They come! The child clung to Daniel's arm, trembling. Please, human. You are strong. You can help. You must, Daniel swallowed hard. He wasn't sure he was strong enough. But he couldn't let them both die here. He had already stepped into this, and turning back was no longer an option. He looked around the clearing for answers. The trap wasn't tied to ropes or wires. It wasn't buried. It just sat there like it had appeared from nothing. The symbols on its surface shifted slightly, like crawling insects. Daniel pulled out his small toolkit from his belt. He didn't know if his tools would work on alien technology, but he had to try. He touched the trap with a scanner. The device beeped wildly, showing unstable energy spikes. It's not just metal, he whispered. It's energy-based, like half machine, half weapon. The mother hissed in pain again as the ring tightened. The child's eyes filled with tears. Hurry, it's eating her. Daniel nodded, forcing his hands to steady. He tried using a small laser cutter to weaken one of the spikes. Sparks flew as the cutter made contact, but the trap reacted instantly. The glowing symbols flared bright and a shockwave of heat burst outward. Daniel was thrown backward, hitting the dirt hard. The child screamed. The mother groaned louder, clutching the ground. Daniel sat up, ears ringing. It's protecting itself. Damn it. He crawled back to the trap, his mind racing. If he cut it, it tightened. If he pulled, it tightened. That meant the trap wasn't meant to be broken. It was meant to hold until its makers arrived, and that meant time was running out. The forest suddenly stirred. Low growls rumbled from the shadows. Branches cracked under heavy footsteps. Daniel turned, shining his light stick into the trees. He caught a glimpse of glowing eyes, too many to count. The mother's voice came low and harsh. They are here. Daniel rose to his feet, gripping his weapon. The beasts stepped closer, their shapes massive and twisted with teeth like knives. Their skin shimmered as if half hidden in shadow. They circled the clearing, growling louder, their eyes fixed on the wounded mother. The child pressed against Daniel's leg, sobbing. Human, please, save her. Daniel's pulse thundered in his ears. He was outnumbered. He could run, but the mother wouldn't survive, and the child would be left to die. He raised his weapon, firing a warning shot into the trees. The beam lit up the night, burning through the leaves. The creatures snarled but didn't scatter. They only moved slower, closing in step by step. Daniel shouted at the child, "Stay behind me!" The beast lunged. Daniel fired again, hitting one in the chest. It fell back with a screech, its body smoking, but two more replaced it immediately. The mother forced herself up slightly, her voice shaking with pain but filled with power. "More will come, the trap." "It calls them." Daniel's eyes widened. The trap wasn't only holding her, it was sending a signal. It was bait. He realized the awful truth. This was a hunting ground and they had just stepped into it. The child screamed as one of the beasts leapt forward. Daniel shot it mid-air, but another crashed through the brush on his left. He turned too slowly until the mother roared, slamming her free leg into the ground. The shockwave knocked the beast aside, but it cost her. The trap tightened again, digging deeper, her cry of pain echoing through the clearing. Daniel's mind raced. He had to break the trap before it killed her, before more of those things arrived. He glanced at his laser cutter, then at the pulsing symbols. And in that desperate moment, he noticed something. The symbols reacted every time he touched the metal, but they didn't flare when the mother moved. It wasn't defending against her. It was defending against him. Daniel narrowed his eyes, a plan forming. If he couldn't break it himself, maybe she could. He crouched beside her, shouting over the growls and screams. "Listen to me. It responds to me, not you. You have to break it from the inside." The mother looked at him, sweat dripping down her silver skin. Her child clutched her hand tighter, whispering, "Mom, please." The growls grew louder. More eyes appeared in the darkness. Daniel leaned close, voice fierce. "It's your only chance. Do it now before they close in." The mother took a deep breath, her eyes burning with defiance. Slowly, painfully, she began to twist her trapped leg. The trap shuddered, its symbols flashing erratically, and then the forest exploded with sound as the hunters finally stepped out of the shadows. The decision. The clearing had turned into a battlefield of sound. Growls shook the trees. Claws scratched against stone, and Daniel's own heartbeat thundered in his chest. The alien mother twisted her leg inside the glowing trap, her teeth clenched so hard it looked like they might break. The symbols on the dark metal flickered wildly, confused by her resistance. Daniel crouched low, firing at the nearest creature. The shot cut through its chest, sending it tumbling into the brush. But more shapes moved beyond the trees, glowing eyes blinking in and out of sight like lanterns. The child clung to Daniel's side, shaking violently. "Human, please. Save her." He wanted to shout that he was trying, but he bit back the words. He had a choice to make, and every second he wasted meant more blood loss for the mother, more danger for the child. Daniel looked at the trap again. It wasn't simple metal. It was a message, a snare, and a prison. Whoever made it wanted her alive but in agony. Breaking it wrong might kill her. Leaving it alone would doom her. He raised his weapon again, firing another burst at the circling beasts. The air sizzled with energy as one creature fell, then another. But they didn't stop. They only grew bolder, moving closer each time. The mother's voice rasped through the noise. "Human, go. Take the child." "Leave me." The words hit him like a hammer. "Go, leave her?" Daniel's jaw tightened. He stared at her, at the way she tried to shield her child even now, half dead in the dirt. He saw the child's face wet with tears, looking at him with desperate hope. He shook his head. "No, not happening." The mother's eyes narrowed. "Foolish. You die too." Daniel fired again, knocking back another beast. "Then we die together. But I'm not abandoning you." The child's voice cracked. "Please, save her." "Don't let her go." The decision settled inside him like stone. He couldn't walk away. He couldn't leave them, no matter the cost. Daniel slung his weapon over his shoulder and pulled out the laser cutter again. His hand shook, but his voice was steady. "Listen to me. You have to fight it from your side. Push when I cut. Don't stop, no matter how much it hurts." The mother bared her teeth, growling like a cornered animal, but after a long moment she gave the smallest nod. The beasts roared, moving closer. Shadows darted between the trees. The child screamed and pressed against Daniel's back. He set the cutter against the metal, sparks flying as it sliced into one of the glowing symbols. The trap screamed in response, a high-pitched shriek that rattled his bones. The metal tightened instantly, but the mother twisted her leg with a roar, forcing her muscles against the spikes. Blood poured, but the symbol cracked. Daniel shouted, "Again!" He sliced another mark. The trap flared bright, nearly blinding. The beast shrieked from the tree line, angered by the light. Some charged forward, their massive bodies pounding the ground. Daniel drew his sidearm with one hand, firing wildly while keeping the cutter pressed to the metal with the other. One beast fell at his feet, twitching. Another crashed into a tree and collapsed. The mother roared again, twisting harder. The trap's hum faltered. Sparks shot from the ring. The child clutched her arm, crying, "You can do it, Mom. Break it." Daniel gritted his teeth, pushing the cutter deeper. The smell of burning metal filled the air. The spikes loosened just for a second. "Now!" he screamed. With one final furious twist, the alien mother shattered the ring. The trap exploded outward in a burst of light and smoke, the spikes snapping like brittle glass. The shockwave knocked Daniel backward again, slamming him into the dirt. His ears rang, his vision blurred. When the smoke cleared, the mother was free. Her leg bled badly, but she stood tall, her body trembling with both pain and fury. She towered over Daniel, her eyes glowing with rage at the beasts that dared surround her. The child clung to her, sobbing with relief. "Mom, you're free." Daniel staggered to his feet, coughing. His chest ached, his arms shook, but a grin tugged at his lips. "Told you we could do it." The victory lasted only seconds. The forest erupted with roars. Dozens of beasts now crowded the clearing, eyes burning with hunger. The trap was broken, but its signal had already done its work. The mother leaned on her good leg, her breath ragged. She looked at Daniel, then at her child, then at the encroaching wall of teeth and claws. Her voice was low, deadly. "More will come. Stronger ones." Daniel raised his weapon, shoulders squared. "Then we keep moving. We fight our way out." The child's eyes widened with fear. "But there are too many." Daniel's face hardened. "I don't care. We're not giving them what they want." The mother stared at him for a long moment, as if seeing him for the first time. Then slowly she gave a nod. The beasts moved closer, their growls vibrating through the ground. Daniel's finger tightened on the trigger. The mother raised her free hand, her claws glowing faintly with strange energy. The child clutched both of them, whispering, "Don't leave me." Daniel's voice was firm, calm, even as the enemy closed in. "I won't." And as the first beast leapt from the shadows, Daniel and the alien mother stood together, ready to fight. Not as enemies, but as allies. The attack, the first beast lunged, jaws wide, teeth like broken knives. Daniel fired at point-blank range. The blast lit up the clearing, burning through the creature's chest. It screeched, tumbling sideways, but two more leapt in its place, their bodies moving with frightening speed. The alien mother roared, slamming her free arm into the ground. A shockwave rippled through the dirt, sending dust and leaves flying. One beast stumbled, another was thrown back, but the effort made her injured leg buckle. She gritted her teeth, refusing to fall. Daniel spun, firing again and again. The creatures shrieked as beams tore into their bodies, but they didn't scatter. They pressed forward, hungry, relentless. Their glowing eyes never left the wounded mother. The child clung to Daniel's back, trembling but refusing to let go. Tears streaked their silver cheeks, but they did not run. Instead, they grabbed a rock and hurled it at the nearest beast, shouting, "Stay away from her!" The rock bounced harmlessly off the beast's thick hide, but the defiance in the child's voice carried through the chaos. Daniel glanced at the child, then at the mother, then back at the horde closing in. His mind raced. If they stayed here, they would be buried under waves of teeth and claws. The only chance was to break through. "Stay close to me," Daniel shouted. The mother growled low, her claws crackling with faint blue energy. We moved. The beasts attacked again. One leapt from the left, claws aimed for Daniel's throat. He ducked, firing upward, the blast ripping through its skull. Blood sprayed across the dirt. Another beast charged from behind, but the mother swung her arm wide, claws glowing as she slashed across its chest. The creature fell in two halves, twitching as its glowing eyes dimmed. Daniel grabbed the child's hand. "This way!" They sprinted toward a gap in the circle of beasts. Daniel fired shots to clear the path, the mother following with heavy, limping steps. The child stayed between them, small legs pumping as fast as they could, but the beasts were faster. Three darted ahead, blocking the way. Their mouths dripped with saliva, their growls shaking the trees. Daniel cursed under his breath. "We'll never outrun them," the mother snarled, lowering her head. "Then we fight through," she roared, charging despite her bleeding leg. Her claws tore into the first beast, ripping flesh from bone. She slammed her shoulder into the second, sending it crashing into a tree with a sickening crack. Daniel took aim at the third, shooting it clean between the eyes. It collapsed in a heap, The path opened for a brief moment. "Go!" the mother cried. Daniel dragged the child forward, stumbling through the gap. The mother followed, limping but unbroken. The beasts shrieked in rage, regrouping, chasing after them. The forest swallowed them again. Branches tore at Daniel's arms as he ran. The child sobbed but did not slow down. Behind them, the mother's roars and the thundering of pursuing beasts shook the night. Daniel risked a glance back. The creatures were relentless, flowing between the trees like shadows given life. Their glowing eyes burned through the darkness. He shouted, "We can't keep running like this," the mother snarled, clutching her bleeding leg. "Caves! Ahead!" "We hide there," the child gasped. "Yes, the caves." "Safe." Daniel tightened his grip on the child's hand. "Lead the way." They veered left, crashing through thick undergrowth. The ground sloped downward, roots clawing at their feet. In the distance, dark shapes rose from the earth, jagged cliffs with black holes yawning in their sides like open mouths. The child pointed. "There, the caves." Daniel's heart lifted for a moment until he saw the beasts gaining speed behind them. Their long limbs carried them faster than any human could run. "Faster," Daniel urged, pulling the child. The mother roared again, swinging her arm to knock back two creatures that leapt too close. But she stumbled, nearly falling. Daniel caught her arm, straining under her weight, and pulled her forward. "Don't stop," he shouted. They reached the mouth of a cave just as the first beast lunged. Daniel spun, firing a desperate shot. The beam hit its jaw, sending it crashing into the dirt at his feet. The others howled, circling. The mother shoved Daniel and the child inside the cave. She turned, planting herself at the entrance, her claws glowing brighter now, her breath heavy but strong. Daniel stood beside her, weapon raised. The child crouched behind them, clutching the stone floor, eyes wide with terror but refusing to look away. The beasts gathered outside, pacing, their growls echoing like thunder in the night. Their glowing eyes filled the darkness, dozens of them, maybe more. The mother's voice was grim. "They will not stop." Daniel's face hardened. "Then neither do we." The first wave came, beasts throwing themselves at the cave entrance. Daniel fired, the blasts lighting up the walls. The mother slashed and roared, her claws tearing through flesh. The child screamed encouragement, their small voice rising above the chaos. But for every beast they killed, two more appeared. The cave wall shook from the force of the attack. Dust fell from the ceiling. Daniel's arms burned from the recoil of his weapon. Sweat stung his eyes. The mother's leg bled freely, leaving dark stains on the stone floor. Still, she fought like a storm, refusing to fall. Daniel knew they couldn't hold forever. The beasts would eventually overwhelm them. Then he noticed something, between the flashes of gunfire and the glow of the mother's claws. The beasts weren't just attacking. They were waiting, testing, pushing them toward exhaustion. This wasn't a simple hunt. It was a siege. And in that moment, Daniel understood. The trap was only the beginning. The real enemy wasn't the beasts themselves. It was whoever controlled them. The escape the cave shook like it was alive. Each time a beast hurled itself at the entrance, stones rattled loose from the ceiling. Dust filled the air, coating Daniel's throat and stinging his eyes. He coughed hard but kept firing into the snarling darkness. Each blast lit the walls in flashes of blue light, showing monstrous teeth and claws pushing against the narrow opening. The alien mother stood beside him, her tall frame like a wall of silver steel. Blood dripped from her injured leg, pooling on the stone floor, but she did not falter. Every time a beast pushed its head inside, her glowing claws slashed through flesh and bone. The air reeked of smoke, iron, and something sour like rotten meat. The child crouched against the back wall, trembling but unbroken. Their wide, dark eyes followed every strike, every shot. They whispered to themselves, maybe in prayer, maybe in fear, no one could tell. Daniel's weapon beeped, its energy cells running low. His heart sank. If it died now, they would be trapped in a tomb. The mother glanced at him, her sharp gaze reading his silence. "Weapon failing," Daniel nodded grimly. "We can't stay here. If we wait, they'll bury us alive." The child's small voice piped up. "There is another way." "A tunnel. It goes deeper." "I used to play there." Daniel turned. "A tunnel? Where?" The child scrambled to their feet, pointing toward a dark crack in the stone wall. It was narrow, barely large enough for the child to squeeze through. Daniel's stomach tightened. A tunnel meant no room to fight. If they were cornered inside, they'd be finished. The beasts roared outside, slamming harder against the rocks. One paw forced its way through the entrance, claws scraping stone. The mother slashed it clean off, but the next beast pushed closer. Daniel had no choice. "Show me!" The child darted to the crack, crawling through with ease. Daniel followed, pushing his shoulders through the tight stone. The walls scraped against his armor, cutting into his skin. He grunted, pulling himself forward. Behind him, the mother struggled to fit, her larger frame scraping harshly. The beasts sensed movement. Their roars grew louder, claws tearing at the cave walls. Dust rained down as stone cracked. Daniel twisted back. "Hurry, they're breaking through!" The mother bared her teeth, forcing herself into the narrow passage. Her injured leg dragged, leaving a trail of dark blood on the rock. But slowly, painfully, she followed. The tunnel bent downward, colder and darker the deeper they went. Daniel's light stick cast a weak glow, showing twisting walls and dripping stone. The air grew damp, carrying the smell of minerals and old earth. The child's voice echoed in the tight space. "It is long. Very long, but safe. Beasts are too big to follow far." Daniel hoped that was true. Behind them, the cave entrance collapsed with a thunderous crack. Beasts howled in fury, their voices muffled by falling stone, for now the tunnel had saved them. They crawled for what felt like hours, the silence broken only by the mother's heavy breaths and the child's soft whimpers. Daniel's arms ached, his knees scraped raw, but he pressed forward. The thought of those beasts breaking through kept him moving. Finally, the tunnel widened into a larger cavern. Stalactites hung from the ceiling like teeth, and an underground river cut across the floor, glowing faintly with blue light from strange minerals. The child ran ahead, splashing through the shallow water. "See, safe." Daniel stood, stretching his stiff back. He looked at the mother. Her silver skin shimmered with sweat, her legs shaking under her weight. She was pale, her breaths ragged. He stepped closer. "You're losing too much blood. We need to stop and wrap that wound." The mother's eyes narrowed, pride flickering in her gaze. "No time, we move." Daniel shook his head. "If you collapse, we're done. Let me help." For a moment she stared at him, tense, as if unsure whether to trust him. Then slowly she lowered herself onto a rock, the fight draining from her body. Daniel tore a strip from his undershirt, using it to bind her bleeding leg. He tightened it hard enough to stop the flow. The mother hissed in pain but did not push him away. The child knelt beside her, holding her hand. "You will be okay, Mom. The human helps." Daniel met the mother's gaze. "We're not enemies. Not tonight. If we're going to survive, we do it together." The mother's lips curled into the faintest hint of a smile, half doubt, half respect. "Together," she repeated softly. The moment of quiet didn't last. A low rumble echoed through the cavern. Water rippled, stones shifted. Daniel raised his weapon again, though its energy meter blinked low. The mother tilted her head, listening. "Not beasts," Daniel frowned. "Then who?" The answer came as shadows appeared at the far end of the cavern. Tall figures stepped out, cloaked in strange armor. Their eyes glowed faintly beneath their helmets, and each carried weapons carved with the same symbols as the trap. Daniel's stomach dropped. These weren't wild beasts. These were the hunters. The child gasped, clinging to the mother. "It's them." The hunters spread out, blocking the exit. One raised its weapon, pointing directly at Daniel. The mother's voice was cold and sharp. "Now you see. They are the true enemy." Daniel gritted his teeth, raising his nearly empty weapon. He looked at the mother, then at the child, then back at the hunters. His choice had been made long ago when he first followed the child's cry into the forest. He planted his feet firmly in the glowing water. "Then we fight. Together." The cavern filled with silence for one breath. Then the hunters moved forward. The enemy revealed. The cavern echoed with the sound of boots on stone. The hunters moved forward in a slow, steady line, their armor gleaming faintly in the blue glow of the underground river. They did not rush like the beasts. They did not growl or scream. They came with calm, terrible confidence, as if they already knew the fight was theirs. Daniel raised his weapon, though its energy meter blinked weak red. He steadied his breathing, forcing down fear. If he showed weakness, it was over. Beside him, the alien mother pushed herself to her feet, her claws glowing faintly again, though her leg trembled under her weight. The child stayed between them, clutching the mother's arm tightly. The lead hunter stopped only a few steps away. His helmet was carved with the same strange symbols Daniel had seen on the trap. In one hand, he carried a long spear made of black metal. Its tip pulsed with light, as if alive. The hunter's voice echoed strangely, deep and distorted through the helmet. The prey resists. That is good. Strong prey makes the hunt worthy. The child cried out, "You hurt my mom. You trapped her." The hunter tilted his head, almost amused. "She is not yours to protect, little one. She is ours to claim." Daniel stepped forward, weapon aimed. "You'll have to go through me first." The hunter's voice lowered, filled with a cruel edge. "And you, human, why do you stand with them? This is not your fight." Daniel's grip tightened. "It is now." The other hunters chuckled, a low metallic sound that crawled along the walls. They spread out, forming a half-circle, cutting off every exit. The mother hissed, her claws sparking brighter. "They are slavers," she growled in her rough English. "They hunt. Not for food. For control." Daniel's chest tightened. So that was it. This wasn't random violence. These hunters trapped, bled, and captured for power. The beasts were just tools, animals unleashed to weaken the prey. The real enemy had always been these armored figures. The lead hunter lowered his spear. The light on its tip flared, filling the cavern with an eerie glow. Enough talk. The strong survive. The weak fall. That is the way. He lunged. Daniel fired his weapon, the blast striking the hunter's chest. The beam splashed harmlessly against the armor, leaving only a scorch mark. Daniel cursed under his breath. His weapon was nearly dry, and even a full charge might not pierce that plating. The mother roared, slashing with her claws. Sparks flew as she struck the spear, deflecting it inches from Daniel's chest. The cavern filled with the clang of metal against energy, the sound sharp and violent. The child screamed, pressing back against the wall. "Mom, human!" Daniel dropped low, swinging the butt of his weapon into the hunter's leg. The armored figure staggered, just long enough for the mother to slash again, tearing across his helmet. The mask cracked, revealing a glimpse of pale skin and black eyes underneath. The hunter hissed in fury, stumbling back. The others moved in instantly, their weapons glowing. Daniel grabbed the child, pulling them behind a rock for cover. "Stay low. Don't move until I say." The mother fought with wild fury, her claws glowing brighter with each strike. She moved like a storm, every slash leaving streaks of light across the cavern. But there were too many. Spears clashed against her arms, forcing her back step by step. Blood dripped into the glowing river, mixing with the water. Daniel's heart pounded. If she fell, the child would be taken. He couldn't let that happen. He ducked out from cover, aiming at one of the hunter's weapons. He fired his last full shot. The blast struck the black spear, shattering it in half. The hunter roared, clutching the broken weapon, stunned. Daniel shouted, "Now!" "Hit him!" The mother spun, her claws slicing through the stunned hunter's chest. His body collapsed into the river, the water glowing red around him. For a moment, silence. The hunters froze, staring at their fallen comrade. The lead hunter lifted his cracked helmet, his black eyes burning with hate. "You will regret that, human." Daniel's weapon beeped weakly, empty. He threw it aside, raising his fists. "Come and make me regret it." The lead hunter snarled, raising his spear again. But before he could strike, the mother stepped between them, her body trembling but unbroken. Her voice shook the cavern. "No more prey. No more slaves. We fight free." The hunters roared in anger, charging all at once. The cavern exploded into chaos, clashing weapons, roars, sparks flying. The child screamed and ducked behind the rock, covering their ears. Daniel grabbed a fallen spear, swinging it clumsily but with raw strength. He blocked one strike, then shoved the hunter back into the glowing river. The mother tore through another, her claws flashing like lightning. But the hunters were disciplined. They moved as one, forcing them back toward the wall. Daniel's arms burned, his chest heaving. He risked a glance at the mother. Her body shook with exhaustion, her wounded leg barely holding, and yet her eyes blazed with fire. The lead hunter raised his spear high, voice booming through the cavern. "This ends now." Daniel planted his feet beside the mother. The child peeked from behind the rock, whispering, "Please. Don't let them take her." "Don't let them take us." Daniel's voice was low, steady. "They won't." The spear came down. Daniel blocked with the stolen weapon, sparks flying. The mother slashed upward, striking the lead hunter across the chest. Armor cracked, the sound sharp as thunder. The hunters stepped back, regrouping, their formation shaken. Daniel's breath came in ragged gasps. He knew they couldn't keep this up. They were too outnumbered, too exhausted. But the hunters weren't invincible. For the first time, he saw doubt flicker in their dark eyes. And in that moment, Daniel realized something important. Survival wasn't just about strength. It was about defiance, refusing to bow, refusing to break. That was the true fight. The mother bared her teeth, her voice like stone. We are not prey. We are free. The cavern fell into tense silence as both sides stared each other down, breathless and bleeding, waiting for the next strike. And Daniel knew. The war had only just begun. The cavern was heavy with silence after the clash. The blue glow of the underground river reflected on broken armor and scattered weapons. The hunters stood across from Daniel and the alien mother, their dark eyes burning with hate. Neither side moved. Both were waiting. Daniel's chest rose and fell with ragged breaths. His arms ached from the weight of the stolen spear, but he kept it raised. The mother stood tall beside him, though her injured leg shook with each breath she drew. Blood ran down her shin, dripping into the glowing water. The child crouched behind them, clutching the stone floor with trembling fingers, whispering, "Please don't stop. Please don't stop." The lead hunter touched the crack across his armor, his eyes narrowing. He spoke in that deep, distorted voice. "You fight well. Too well for prey. Join us, human. Walk away from her and we will let you live." The words echoed in Daniel's skull. Walk away, live. It was a temptation, a door that could end this nightmare for him. But when he looked at the child's wide eyes shining with fear and trust, he knew he couldn't take that door. Daniel spat on the ground. "I don't fight for you." The hunters hissed, anger rippling through their ranks. The mother's gaze flicked toward him, sharp and unreadable. "You choose to stay." Daniel met her eyes. "Yeah, I choose to stay." The child let out a small gasp of relief, holding tighter to the mother's arm. The lead hunter raised his weapon again. "Then you die with them." The hunters surged forward. Daniel gripped the spear with both hands, bracing himself. The mother roared, her claws glowing brighter than ever before, as if fury itself fueled her strength. The cavern shook with the sound of metal against energy, spear against claw. Sparks flew, water splashed, and screams echoed. Daniel fought like a man possessed. Every strike, every block was fueled by a single thought: keep the child alive. He swung the spear low, tripping one hunter, then smashed the butt into another's faceplate. Armor cracked, the hunter reeled back. The mother tore through two more, her claws shredding their black weapons like paper. Her body was failing, but her will burned hotter than fire. She fought not only for herself but for the child clinging to the wall, and for the strange human who had chosen to stand at her side. Still, the hunters pressed harder. For every one that fell, two more stepped forward. Their formation tightened, pushing Daniel and the mother back. The child cried out, "No! Don't let them take her!" Daniel blocked another strike, his arms shaking from the force. He shouted to the mother, "We can't hold forever. We need a way out." The mother's eyes flashed with grim certainty. There is no escape. Only fight. Daniel's heart pounded. He looked at the child, at the small face streaked with tears, and something inside him hardened. There had to be another choice, and then out of the corner of his eye he saw it, the glowing symbols on the hunter's armor. The same as the trap. They pulsed faintly with every strike, every movement. It wasn't just armor. It was the same cursed technology. Daniel realized with a shock they weren't invincible. They were bound by their own tools. If he could disrupt the symbols, just like he had with the trap, maybe, just maybe, they had a chance. He shouted over the chaos, "Hit the symbols. The marks. That's their weakness." The mother's eyes widened in understanding. With a roar, she shifted her strike, slashing not at the hunter's weapons, but at the glowing lines carved into their armor. Sparks exploded as her claws ripped through one symbol. The hunter wearing it screamed, collapsing to the ground, armor shutting down like a broken machine. Daniel jabbed his spear at another's chest, aiming directly for the mark glowing near the heart. The weapon pierced the symbol, and the hunter fell with a cry of rage, his body twitching before going still. The battle turned. The hunters staggered, suddenly cautious. Their calm confidence cracked, replaced with anger and fear. The lead hunter barked something in his own tongue, his black eyes blazing with hatred. Daniel wiped sweat from his brow, voice hoarse but steady. "You're not gods. You bleed. You break." The lead hunter raised his spear high, pointing it directly at Daniel. "Then you die first, human." He charged with terrifying speed. Daniel braced, but at the last moment the mother stepped in front of him, taking the blow across her already wounded leg. She screamed, claws slashing upward in raw fury. The strike ripped through the hunter's helmet, tearing it clean open. For the first time, Daniel saw the enemy's face fully. Pale skin stretched tight over sharp bones, black eyes that reflected no light, and a cruel smile that dripped with malice. The hunter hissed, "We are endless. For everyone you kill, more will come." Daniel raised the spear, pressing the glowing tip to the broken symbol on the hunter's chest. His voice was low, cold. "Then let them come." He drove the weapon in. The cavern erupted in light. The lead hunter screamed, his body shaking violently before collapsing into the glowing water. His armor cracked apart, sinking into the current. The other hunters froze. For a moment, the cavern was silent except for the rush of the underground river. Then slowly, the remaining hunters backed away. They vanished into the shadows, their voices echoing like whispers. The mother collapsed to one knee, panting hard, blood soaking the stone. The child rushed to her side, sobbing with relief. Daniel stood over them, chest heaving, gripping the broken spear. He knew this was no victory. The hunters had retreated, but not defeated. They would return in greater numbers, stronger than before. The mother looked at him with weary eyes. "You chose to fight. Now you are part of this war." Daniel nodded, his jaw tight. "Then I'll fight it. With you?" The child looked up at him, eyes wide with hope. You are family now." Daniel's chest tightened. He glanced at the tunnel behind them, at the shadows where the hunters had vanished. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing. He had made his choice. He would not walk away. The cavern fell silent, but in that silence, a promise burned. The war had only begun.